Good morning, neighborhood kids and everyone else. I am so glad you are here today for another story from God's Word, the Bible, which we know is absolutely true and completely trustworthy. And it teaches us how to live lives that please capital G God, which is what we want to do when we choose to believe who God is and that His Word, the Bible, is true, and then ask Him to forgive us of our sin. Last week, you learned that God created our wonderful world and that He made humans, Adam and Eve, in His very own image. Something else about God is that He is omniscient. Omniscient is a fancy word that means God knows everything. Everything like what you think and do and say, when you go to sleep and when you get up, what you eat, who you played with, all of those details of your day, God knows. Psalm 139 tells us that that is true. Omniscience also means that God knows what's going to happen in the future. He's already knew when He made Adam and Eve what was going to happen next in their life. And remember, He had created them in His own image too. Well, I am still here in France, still enjoying it. And you know, in order to come, I had to prepare. I had to think ahead for things that I might need. I needed to look at the weather. Do I need to have an umbrella with me? Do I need to have a hat and sunscreen? Maybe that is going to make more sense for this trip. I brought along my water bottle and clothes that were appropriate for the weather that was going to be here. I had to buy tickets and make plans and prepare to do that. You know, God also had a plan, and He made His plan long before He made Adam and Eve. And in your story today in class, you're going to learn that Adam and Eve sinned. They disobeyed God. God had given them one rule: do not eat from the tree in the middle of the garden, and yet they broke that rule. But God is omniscient. He knew that that was going to happen, and so He prepared ahead of time that He would send His Son Jesus so that Adam and Eve and all of us now could be forgiven of our sin. Well, I prepared for my trip by packing a suitcase. You prepared to come to church today by getting yourself ready and eating breakfast and being here. Have you ever thought about how to prepare not to sin? Could Adam and Eve have stayed away from that one tree so that they would not be tempted to sin? Is there someone or something that you tend to sin more when you're around? Maybe you need to stay away from that thing, or sometimes even it's a person that we have to be careful how we talk to. Well, Satan is our enemy too. In the story today, Satan appeared as a serpent to Adam and Eve. And you know, as long as we are alive on earth, we are going to be tempted too, because Satan wants us to sin. But the best news is, even when we do things that are wrong, or we think an unkind thought, or we say a wrong thing, God will always forgive us when we ask.